Welcome to Stormwind. I know there doesn't seem to be that much going on at the moment, but believe it or not, this is what our capital city looks like on your average Friday night here on Skeram, which is a 98% Horde server. There's not too many of us Alliance left, and in fact, our faction has been more or less dead for over a year now. Dead, that is, except for a few of us stubborn holdouts who refuse to quit or leave or reroll. But as you can see here, despite having, maybe 1060s online on your typical weekend night, we did manage to kill the last boss in Classic WoW, Kel'Thuzad. We managed to beat the game, I guess you could say, in as much as you can beat a game like this. And we've killed him again and again and again since then. At this point, you might be wondering, Kerm, how did you do it? Well, I'm glad you asked. You see, it all started, or I guess ended, on one fateful Thursday night in early February. Here we were, finally. After 2 months of torturous progression, we had finally reached KT. It had cost us a lot to get here. In the process, we lost our guild leader, Bizum. We lost an entire raid team. We nearly bankrupted ourselves funding and farming for what's really the hardest content this otherwise fairly easy game has to offer. But I think it was worth it. Our new GM Shiz quickly stabilized things, and because he's an overachieving nerd, he created a bunch of detailed PowerPoints for each boss, which really helped the slower members of our raid, and including myself. So we eventually figured out 4 horsemen. We barely brute forced our way through Saffron, and now here we were at the end of 2 long nights of raiding. We had to kill him here. We just had to, but we wiped. This was our 4th or 5th wipe, I think, and now we faced a troubling conundrum. But I think we maybe need to step back for a minute so that you can understand I guess you call it the situation that we were in at that moment. You see, in the preceding weeks and months, our circumstances had changed slightly. Skeram being almost entirely Horde has obviously never been the safest place for the Alliance, but during our Nax progression in particular, we were the targets of an extensive, sustained griefing campaign. Ganking squads stalked us in Stormwind and Booty Bay. Dispellers waited in every major capital city, including Darnassus. Our summoning bots were massacred. It was really the whole 9 yards. There were even gangs that stood around waiting for hours on end for our tanks to log in so they could try and murder them. These guys really went all out. As to be expected, Darkmoon Fair that month descended into, well, I guess the only words for it are total chaos.
And his name is John C. FBI, open up!
12 seconds later.
It's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
That's right! Get no scopes! Get no scopes!
Nope. Nope.
Why you bully me?
6.5 hours later.
But through it all, we still got along with most of the Horde as usual. We even helped them out on occasion.
They've got it 50%. Keep Kerm up. Keep Kerm up, evasion Kerm. Kerm's evasion tanking. Oh shit, they're gonna get it. They're fucking gonna get it. Oh wow. Well played. Well fucking played, Kerm.
Still, the unfriendly intentions of a few of the Horde guilds were very clear, and their threats and demands were even clearer. Now, rumor had it that they were upset about our resident balance druid Flickster, which is fair. FlexGC enjoys blasting people with Starfire when they least expect it, and despite his backpedaling and his cloth gear and, the fact that he's almost always outnumbered, 20 plus to 1, he still struck such fear into the Horde with his, you should call them world PvP antics, that they've developed an entire anti-Flickster meta involving level 1 spies and nature and arcane protection potions and Discord streaming, anything you can think of to counter him. In fact, they've developed a bit of an unhealthy obsession over the guy, so we figured that might have been it. Though to be honest, we didn't really know why they were so upset, and we didn't really care too much. When there's well over 5,000 Zugs roaming around your server, you really cannot keep track of every petty grudge they have. And besides, this was not the first time the Horde had tried to run us off the server. Far from it. Some of the best Horde guilds in the world tried, and they failed. No, this would not be the first time, and we knew what to expect and how to deal with it. So when they came for us, we were ready. Well, at least as ready as group of crappy players like us can be. They even sent out entire raid groups to wipe us, just like in the old days. But we stood our ground this time, and we fought our way in hell or high water. If anything was going to stop us, it was not going to be the goddamn Horde, I'll tell you that much. No, what was going to stop us was going to be some very simple mechanics on a 20-year-old video game final boss. Which brings me back to our wipe on Kel'Thuzad. We didn't have many options at that point. We could have called the raid, but we wouldn't have been able to get enough people to clear it any other night of the week. Or we could have kept bashing our heads against the wall and hoping for the best, but we didn't have much time. We did, however, have one last desperate contingency plan. Now, like I said, we cannot easily rebuff, and not just because waltzing down to ZG Island as Alliance on Skeram during prime raiding hours was not the safest thing in the world, especially considering the circumstances, but also because we simply did not and do not have enough characters on our faction to just spam out world buffs all willy-nilly. But we did have buffs in reserve for this very occasion. We planned ahead. So we took the risk, and for once our carefully laid plans actually went off without a hitch. So here we were, once again, facing Mr. KT in all his might. And from our perspective, we were we were basically gambling everything on this last pull, and everyone knew it. I had never seen our guild this focused, and I mean never. Normally our Discord channel is, well, it's rowdy to say the least. We do not have clear comms in our vocabulary, let's put it that way. But at that moment, you could hear a pin drop. We are far from the best players in the world, but if there is one thing I can say about my guild Cuddweequoo, well, it's that we are some determined idiots. And this poll was the full manifestation of months and months of determined effort. Our stubbornness over the last nearly 2 years on Skeram had brought us to the final hurdle of this outdated, this busted, this really beautiful game, and we were not about to trip up.
Whoa, hold DPS.
Let the tanks get it back.
Kick, please.
Kick.
Huckling's got it.
Void zone.
Fearing.
Kick somebody, please.
Huckling's dead. 40k, blow him up.
Blow it up.
Go.
Do it. 10k.
Yeah,
go.
Do it.
Got him.
5k.
Got him.
Do it. You say you don't like
Yes.
We did it. We beat the game, guys.
Congratulations.
With K fucking loot.
Oh my god.
We beat the
Res me.
game.
Sick.
Res me so I can distribute it, you bitches.
Look at this garbage.
And I guess we could have called it there. A lot of guilds broke up after killing KT, which is only natural. And I think we were prime candidates to do the same, to be honest, but we had a legendary staff to make and, enough leftover determination to try and make it. So we've kept on at it for the last few months. Meanwhile, unfortunately, Skeram Horde have lost well over half their raiding player base in only the last 3 months or so, including their top guild Onslaught, our old nemesis, which was somewhat of a surprise, to be honest.
Oh my god, how dare you bully Cuddweequoo!
Oh, I just said the name. Yikes. That's fine. Incoming hour-long Kerm video about how they get bullied on Skeram, but somehow they persist. It was Kerm here? Oh shit, here we go. Let's see if we can make Kerm's next sob story video. Where is he, bud? Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. No, come on, let Syntax be in the video.
10 seconds later.
But as a speedrunning guild that's gonna try to compete for like world-class speedrun times, we are done. It is cooked. GG. Did Cudweek Woo outlast Onslaught? Yeah, they did, didn't they? Huh? I guess they were playing the long con. What can you say? That'll make the vid, yeah.
What can I say? I am a bit of a broken record, I admit it. And I guess it is a bit funny that we've managed to last this long. They would have seen it coming. Definitely not me, but here we were, tying up all the loose ends. For instance, we'd never killed a city boss, but in the dead of night, we braved the very, very, very empty city of Thunderbluff to kill Kane. We'd never managed to snag a world boss either, but it's never too late, as they say, and long after the loot had ceased to be really of any use to anyone. We downed one of those damn dragons the Horde were always obsessing over, mostly just to say we did it, and we did do it. Skeram-Alliance completed every available piece of content in this entire game, despite the best efforts of a very determined and resourceful opposition, and despite our own numerous shortcomings. Within a few weeks, we had all the materials we needed to make our first Atiesh. Somewhat ironically, it went to a former enemy. Stultita, our resident resto druid, started on Skeram Horde, but in a fit of what can only be described as insanity, he deleted his level 60 shaman last February, and then he rerolled Alliance. Stultita joined our guild and nefariously weaseled his way into the officer corps by being extremely helpful, considerate, and really an all-around good guy. Since then, we've completed another Atiesh, and I guess we'll keep on clearing Nax until enough of us get bored of it. It's been a long and strange journey here on Skeram, I'll say that much, and now it's drawn to a close. As TBC dawns, we'll call them new pastures beckon for our guild. We've done what we set out to do here, and our experiences prove that not only is it possible to beat the game on a dead faction, but you can actually have fun and make friends while doing so. In other words, it does not have to be a terrible experience. That's the most valuable lesson I'll take away from this. To a large degree, the story of Skeram has been defined by the story of a server poisoned by faction imbalance and destroyed by sustained griefing, and rightfully so. But it is just as much the story of a small and committed group of players who broke the meta and made the best of an unfortunate situation. And it's the story of failure. Not our failure, but the failure of those who, up until the very last minute, tried their hardest to stop us and did not succeed. And most of all, it's the story of these two disparate and diverse communities interacting in an open world. A hostile world, to be sure, a world of Warcraft. That's Skeram.
Hey, big grats to everybody. This is all of the content is now down by the Cudweek crew. Big congratulations to everybody, to all involved. Naxxramas was the biggest, hardest hurdle that we faced, and I've been so impressed with everybody's ability to keep focused, learn the mechanics, not get too frustrated when we die or point fingers at people. There's been no loot controversies so far. It's been, well, I won't say no, but no major loot controversies. I really appreciate everyone's flexibility and coolness throughout the whole thing. I'm gonna give a special shout out to a few key members, which is Volarx and Fishbowl, who have both contributed a literal crap ton of materials that help us to complete this content. Most of the materials we drank tonight is because of those two players individually, so thank you guys very much. And to all who donated, it's not just them two. We all contributed a ton, but the amount that they did was just overwhelming. So really appreciate it. I'd like to give them both an MVP prize for all the hard work. Special shout outs for long-term members who've been here since day one or close to it. A big special shout out to Potato Farmer, who's been getting all of his world buffs and consumables for every single raid, big or small, since day one, and he's typically on top of our DPS. Big shout out to Kerm, who gave us an advertisement that kept this guild alive in a turmoil server that was falling apart literally, and the resurgence of all those players made us able to do what we're doing today, which is a nice segue into thanking those who did come to the server, stuck it out through the harsh leveling, and joined our guild. And didn't just join it, they they became one of us. It's not like two separate entities. Everybody represents a crew way, which is a casual fun mentality, but also focused on completing content. And when the content gets tough, it means buckle down and focus. And we've done that. And we just killed Kel'Thuzad. Game is complete. Hopefully we all show up next week and do it again. Because
You guys realize we're the only guild in the world who's ever done it. No guild has done this on a server like Skeram.